Welcome to Crucible Radio. This week we got KJ Hovy joining us to talk about sniping. We're also going to discuss the new maps in Game Informer and really get down and dirty with Rumble. Is this the theme song now officially? Are we starting with this?
Oh yeah. People cannot get enough of this song. Your rap song is at the top of the Crucible rap charts.
The Crucible rap charts.
It's gone platinum.
All right, fine. Let's do it.
Crucible Radio.
I'm making a comeback like an auto rifle. With KD hot all about survival. But I blink off the map like I'm suicidal. Need advice from a voice, they be writing the Bible. Got swaying with the mitre, running a mile. Never salty, just flash a smile. Birds with the frames, cloak and no land beyond. Dude always does it with style. I'll kill you like a punk. Bam, blink 180, shoot. Why would I ever reload? I'm just using bad juju. This is the Crucible, put down your Gallahorn. You can't kill me, dude, cause I am fireborn. Welcome to the Crucible. Yeah, we got that space magic. This is no place for mercy. Your last words could get tragic. Crucible Radio. You know we making havoc. This is no place for mercy. Your last words could get tragic.
Hey, Swain, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing, birds?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good, to be honest, and I can probably guess how you're doing, Bones, but why don't you just go ahead and tell us?
I'm actually not doing so hot.
What?
Yeah.
Get the soup.
Soup could not fix me right now.
Oh, no.
No, I just didn't. I found out today that if you delete characters, it messes with your DTR and all your tracker stats. And
Yeah.
I knew that. I totally knew that.
For better or worse, right? We've all reset our KD from time to time.
But here I am thinking all of my stats were accurate, and they're probably not. So I guess to make this okay, I'll just never look at Destiny Tracker again. Anyways, welcome to Crucible Radio.
Welcome to Crucible Radio, fellow listeners. Thank you for tuning in.
This is a podcast about all things Destiny PvP. Just Crucible. No raids. No strikes.
Nope.
No tower.
Well,
A little tower.
Okay, yeah.
starting in September, there's going to be a lot more tower in our Crucible lives. But
Yeah,
we'll
what
talk
else is
about
in
that
Destiny?
later.
I just play the Crucible now. I feel like I'm obsessed.
Truly, though, it is a great time to be into this game.
It is a great time to be sick of this game and so excited for the new stuff that's coming, and yet all we can do is futilely speculate for the next 33 days.
Yeah, seriously.
But we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
We'll make it.
We'll make it.
I don't think Birds is going to make it. The speculation is just going to get to him.
Oh, tamp it down.
If you've heard the show before,
Cool.
we try not to speculate too much. We try not to just let our minds wander, and we want to talk about the game we have and the game that we're playing now so we can all get better at that.
That's all you can do.
But sometimes you just get excited, and there's a lot of cool things coming up. But let's not talk about the future just yet. Have any of you guys had any interesting things happen to you this week when you were playing Crucible?
I had a pretty interesting week. I mean, everyone who hasn't heard it, go listen to that last episode with Fizzer and realize you've got so much to learn about spawns and positioning and team play. I decided I'm going to learn where all of the spawns are. And the way I decided to do that was to play so much Rumble all week and just be able to predict spawns as they happen. And I had not played a lot of Rumble before, and I'm generally not a numbers guy, but I can say in the past 13 days, I've brought my Rumble true skill up 8 points.
Wow.
And pretty psyched
Nice.
about that. So that means you bring those up from winning games. Eventually it starts to get into your ratio. For now, it's just racking up wins. Yeah, and it is such a great confidence booster. It trains all your one-on-one skills. It trains your knowledge of the maps and the spawns and where the good spots to be are and where the bad spots to get out of. And yeah, it's been a lot of high-speed learning for me this week. So
I don't ever look at stats, so I don't know what that means. But I assume that you're doing well, so congrats.
thank you.
Nice.
What about you, Swain? How was your week?
It's actually pretty good. I, like I said last episode, I started in PSN, and quickly, as in over the weekend, I got my new Titan to level 32. Yeah,
That's
32.
a fast grind, man. You made it up there quick.
I'm catching up to your Grimoire.
I should probably care about that at some point, but you're gonna blow right past me.
I acquired several exotics, including my favorite, the Plan C. And I've just been, playing some fun skirmish games, kind of practicing my Inferno. Probably made a few people mad by killing them with a Plan C, because it's probably the first time they've been killed by in a long time. But it's fun. What about you, Bones? What have you been up to?
This week has been a good one, I think. I actually got back into my 6v6, and a couple weeks ago I had said I really wasn't feeling it. I couldn't figure it out after getting into threes, but Fizzer's advice has been instrumental in me improving my game. And it was funny because we talked to him last week on the show, more afterwards. The dude is a wealth of knowledge, and I jumped into a Clash game and got another Mark of the Unbroken, and I was like, okay,
nice.
Something's working. And so I've been following his advice, and it's not habit yet. I still have to catch myself. I find myself sprinting in there, going right for the kills, and then I die mid-sprint. And if you're getting killed while you're sprinting, it means you're not paying attention. So as soon as that happens, I have to slow it down and go, okay, what am I remembering here? Positioning, hold the zone, that kind of thing. And when I pay attention to that stuff, I see a difference. So I'm really excited about that, and I feel good. I like being able to enjoy sixes again.
Welcome back.
Those Inferno playlists definitely give you some situational awareness.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I found myself like whenever I'm going somewhere, I'm like hugging the wall. That way I know that there's nothing on this side, and I kind of keep my eyes open, head on a swivel.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, last week we asked listeners, fans of our local MC, World Star rapper Bones, to deliver their own best rhymes related to the Crucible. And we got a lot of great submissions, and a couple that really stood out. It was a tough call, but we ended up picking our favorite. We got a special prize coming for you. And to celebrate it, Bones, why don't you introduce our winner and his dope rhymes?
Okay. A lot of you guys had some straight fire coming at us on Twitter for sure. But a Twitter user by the name of An Average Shank tweeted at us, and you know what? We had to give it to him because not only did he have a good rap, but he went above and beyond and photoshopped this awesome straight out of Weapon Parts graphic that you can find on our Twitter, but it was so cool. I loved it. So, we can't really put a beat on this. We don't have the technology. People haven't yet figured out how to put vocals with music, but maybe someday. So I'll read the rap as a spoken word poem as best as I can.
I can't wait.
So this is...
Birds' beatboxing wasn't up to par yet.
So this is An Average Shank with straight out of Weapon Parts. They call me Dre because I'm straight out of Weapon Parts. From min-maxing, I'm relaxing, sitting back with my ranged attack. I'll kill them Sunsingers again if they decide to come back. I'll bring a knife to a gunfight, dust off my hard light. No need for last word or thorn, blink or fireborn, truth or Gallahorn, because a legend I was born. Nova bomb across the map, cap the zones ASAP, I've got you in a trap. I'll get you even with your shotgun at the range cap, my sneak attack melee your back, that's a fact. I'll give you some super good advice, watch out for my shadow price. I'll get some luck in the chamber, roll the dice. As for my rhymes, this is my final round, but I'm still triple kill bound from these over-penetrating rounds. Straight out of Weapon Parts.
We're on to something here. The spoken word Crucible Raps is the next major development in the art world. I got a feeling it's coming.
I'm just picturing a dark bar with the walking stand-up bass,
and a shank with a little beret on it.
A fallen vandal going up to the mic with a little hat on, smoking a cigarette and silhouetted by a spotlight. So, we loved to hear all those. I also want to give a shout out to Eraser on Reddit. He photoshopped this hilarious mixtape cover for the Crucible Radio rap, Slam Dunkin' Hunters. It's so good. We'll tweet that out too, but that was pretty awesome, and he's going to get a Red Bull code from me as well.
So we asked you guys on Twitter what you want to hear us talk about. Once again, we wanted to incorporate this into the show. Hear what you want to hear from us. So let's start it off with Blades Typhoon. He says, hi.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Blades Typhoon.
Hi, Blades Typhoon.
Hello to you, too.
Next up, we have a question from our friendly neighborhood podcasters over at the Destiny Reset. Cyborg Sasquatch asks, what is your opinion on Stormcaller getting a lightning grenade?
Oh boy.
I'm going to toss this right to Bones.
What up, Cyborg? The Stormcaller is a really interesting class to me, and that's going to be the first one I try out, of course. And I was a little nervous because I'm thinking, oh, I can't blink. I'm not that good at blade dancing, and it reminded me of that. It's a long-lasting mobility super as opposed to that one-and-gun use of the Nova Bomb. But the lightning grenade is obviously one of the most powerful grenades in the game. But what's interesting about the lightning grenade is it's a killer and a zone control grenade. And Warlocks have some of those, but they're not effective and they're not as deadly and rarely seen in the Crucible. And so Warlocks have their killers. They got Axion Bolt. They've got scatter grenades, especially with Nothing Manacles. And then, of course, the Firebolt combination for Sunsingers. Those are deadly. But if they want to do spacing and area control, you've got some very mediocre grenades. But the Lightning Grenade gives Warlocks an ability to control the map, dominate a zone, deny pressure from a single side, and probably get a few kills out of that. So I think it's a great addition to the class, and it's something new for Warlocks where they get that bonus of both control and attack.
I can't wait for you to kill yourself all the time with that.
Yeah, well, it takes a little bit of practice to get the bugs worked out.
You have any opinions on this, Birds? You just want to say hi to Cyborg?
Wow, yeah, you kind of read my mind. I'm going to give standard Bird's answer. I don't really like the lightning grenade. I mean, it is deadly, and it is one of the best grenades in the game, no doubt. It doesn't really fit with my playstyle, though. Like, I like just bolt grenades that I can use to clean up kills, and lightning takes just a different way of thinking about it. You got to plan where you put them, what wall you put them against. That being said, I'm going to die a whole bunch of times to Warlocks for lightning grenades instead of just dying to Titans for lightning grenades. But I would like to say hi to the person who asked, Cyborg Sasquatch at the Destiny Reset podcast. Hey guys, you guys do a great show, and our listeners may want to go check them out. We'll put a link down in the show notes. They really go deep, and they cover a lot more than just the Crucible. And it's a very easygoing show. They have a lot of fun, so check it out.
Yeah, everyone, please go take a look. If you want some sodium-free discussion, that is the place to go.
We were asked by the Stallion, what's your favorite weapon type? Not specific weapon, and don't base your answer on your favorite weapon. For example, scouts, because you like the multi-tool.
Totally predicted what I was about to do with this question. You trapped me there with that little caveat at the end. Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
I want to take a second and rub it in your faces.
Oh,
though.
Swain.
The multi-tool is the...
Yeah.
I really have to eat crow. Is that the right phrase? But on this very podcast, I believe, I have told you that I didn't understand the Mida tool. And wow, after the past week, I don't know if I've picked up the Thorn in a few days with my last word or any of those guns. I love it. So you were right. I'll say it. You was right.
It sure is nice being faster than everyone else on the map by a long shot.
We're getting off track here. Bones, what's your favorite weapon type?
I would say that my favorite weapon type has to be the sniper rifle. It seems like it's weird to pick a special weapon, but I feel like I connect with my snipers a lot. Lately, it's been her benevolence, but I loved my LDR for a while. I had a longbow, and they're exciting to drop. They just feel cool, I guess. I love the designs, and they're a skill weapon for sure. I mean, there's no doubt, but as I've progressing with sniping feels good, feels rewarding, and man, those close-up headshots on blade dancers, from a few feet away, or shutting down a self-res, nothing feels better in the game. So for me, it's sniper rifles for sure.
I definitely missed my sniper rifle when I started this new character. It feels like not having like a limb almost. So I agree with you there. But obviously I'm going to say that scout rifles are my favorite weapon type. I like having the range, and I do genuinely enjoy the variety. I like fast firing scout rifles, and I like the slow firing scout rifles. They both have their place. fast firing is kind of like your beefed up auto rifle almost, if you can get a full auto. And then the hard hitting ones, they have their place. And we will talk about one that we saw in a video today that I'm very, very excited for. But scout rifles for me, definitely.
Yeah, and we've talked about this, and I know you're not saying that just because of the Mida, and they're a great balanced weapon. I look forward to the future of scout rifles for sure. But what about you, Birds?
I mean, it wouldn't be Birds answering a listener question if I totally didn't cop out on it in some way. So get ready, because, just dodge hard right here. I like any gun that makes me feel like a space cowboy. I know. I'm sorry. Look, I love The Last Word. I love No Land Beyond.
I love exotic hand cannons.
Well, look, I also love terrible primary exotic sniper rifles. But in PvE, I love the Fourth Horseman. I like guns that feel like actual guns that exist in this world. And I'm not a big gun guy or anything. I just think it's cool to have a 6-shooter or cool to have, a rifle that you might shoot from the back of a horse. And with that in mind, I feel like there's some more of that on the way coming up in some of the new preview stuff that we saw from Game Informer about these new maps. And they showed us all about these new maps, but in the process, they showed us a ton of the new weapons. And I swear it was on the Ghost Ship map. There was a shotgun that was this perfect combination of like old school cowboy shotgun, all engraved and dolled up, but also like futuristic, like you pulled it out of some weird time travel continuum chest that it's so cool. And it's the kind of gun, I mean, that's really what it is. I like any gun that I can connect to because it's got a personality. It tells a story. It's not just, hey, I bought this cool pulse rifle at the Vanguard vendor. It's something that feels one of a kind that has lasted for centuries in this futuristic world that we're living in.
Yeah, and I believe that's the Tex Mechanica gun, the makers of The Last Word. So they've really got that old school style down. I love those guns a lot too.
We've also seen it in a little, there's a very quick clip of it in one of the previews where he's actually, they twirl it to reload. Oh,
so cool. So cool.
So you're twirling a shotgun. Just twirl your primary, twirl this, that, and the other thing. Tex Mechanica.
Speaking of these new maps, Game Informer just released this article today. We're just taking a look at it. We get to see a little tiny segment of each of the 8 new maps. And a lot of these we've seen before in previews. I got to say, 100%, I am so on board with all of this. The maps look so cool. The guns look so cool. The subclasses look so cool. I really can't wait to see it.
Yeah, there is some really awesome verticality to these new maps that I like. And I think it's pretty common now that there's going to be some jumping and, platforming to be done. I mean, especially for us PlayStation users, we're going to be falling all over that map and the wall. It was really cool to see just the fun designs, very reminiscent of the Ninja Route on Shores of Time. That's one of my favorite areas, and I'm really excited too.
There's a few other ones that I really liked. Not so much the maps, but a little bit like tidbits that you see in each map. I really like the verticality of Memento, where you're kind of just like up in buildings and you look across, like it feels more like Call of Duty, more like modern because it is in a European map. Stuff like the scout rifle, the Omelan scout rifle for Dead Orbit.
Oh man,
that's like a laser. Almost.
You could just listen to that one. Just the sound of it was making me want that gun.
It's beautiful. And then there's a quick view of the Shade Step, too. That was pretty cool. The Hunter Shade Step.
Yeah, what I like about that is that it keeps the spirit of Blink. It doesn't seem like any of these new subclasses are going to have Blink, but Blink is cool to me because not only is it an amazing mobility tool, but you disappear for a while. I mean, that's space magic right there. And so it's going to be a great dodge. You're going to get behind people, but you also disappear for that moment. And that's what I really love about that evade. So I'm pretty stoked.
One thing that I thought was really cool about seeing all these maps actually didn't have anything to do with the maps. It was getting a chance to really see the Night Stalker class in action. And like, look, I'm a hunter. I wear a lot of hats, but it's always hunter at the end of the day. And I was kind of disappointed. It's like, from PvP point of view, okay, we got this guy. He's mostly a support role, and he's going to be great for raids. But you really need other people to help you out. And in just about every one of these clips, we got to see a Night Stalker going off with that bow, and I'm really excited to see that. So it was cool to get sort of a look behind the scenes at what that looks like. And also, whoever recorded all these videos is like a good PvP player. So to see someone who knows how to work it. We've got 8 new maps here. It might be interesting to see what you guys out of these 8 maps, the Bannerfall, Frontier, Crossroads, Sector 16, Ghost Ship, Exile, Memento, and Vertigo. Which one are you guys looking the most forward to playing on?
What piqued my interest the most was Memento. I really like Widow's Court, and I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. I think I'll have a good time with Memento as well. What about you, Bones?
Wow, some of these are so cool. Some of them are scary. I'm actually a little nervous about Ghost Ship. I don't like small circular maps. It makes me think of Halo and just running in circles for my life. But I like bright maps. I love daytime levels. That's just been true for all of my video gaming. So we've seen it a bunch, but I really think Bannerfall is my favorite still. It's the one that takes place in the tower abandoned by a new monarchy, which is pretty great. I love the lore that goes into that map, and I just love the sunny, bright features, the nice little tree there in the courtyards, and I think it just looks great. And I'm really excited for those pathways above doors and the verticality of all these maps. So I think that one's piquing my interest right now.
I think it even has a soccer ball on it.
Too much hype. Don't tell me that.
Well, so you guys like literally picked the 2 that I had picked as my favorites, and I don't think it's a coincidence that you picked both of the Earth maps, because it is going to be so interesting to see the rest of the story. We've seen this bit of Russia, but to get to see what else is happening on Earth since Destiny happened, I will go ahead and say I am looking forward to Vertigo. It's going to not be very good for my suicide percentage on Destiny Tracker. There's going to be a lot of missed jumps and falling to my death.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just, I'll pick it because it's the opposite of an Earth map. It is some crazy floating alien fortress in the sky with teleporters and all this. I'm into it.
Honorable mention goes to the Mayhem map, too, because I'm just interested in Mayhem.
Yep. Like getting launched across the map to shoot void arrows and lightning hands at people.
What about you, listeners? Tweet at us your favorite maps. I want to see, because we just got a little look at all of them, and we've been seeing a lot of Crossroads and a lot of Bannerfall. So which ones of the unseen maps so far are really piquing your interest? I just want to compare, because there's so much to look at.
You know what? I'll even go so far as to say we would love to hear what your favorite part of this big reveal, these 8 new maps, has been. So much so, we're going to read our favorite comment or comments that we get on Twitter or we get on YouTube, pointing out things we might have missed in these reveals or some implications we didn't think of. We're going to read some on the show next week, and if we read yours, we got a special prize coming your way.
Looking forward to that.
Get to it. For you guys, what are some of the resources or the tools or the strategies or just the mental things that you guys use to improve? I mean, we're all trying to get better, but it's a big question to say, how do you do that? How are you supposed to get better every time you play, week by week, and keep climbing up and not just stall out?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I analyze learning from, I guess, an interesting perspective, but I actually was going to become a teacher before I became a writer. And so I've studied the way different people absorb information. And, when you are as invested in this game as I am, and as a lot of us are, you realize you're absorbing content just constantly, but some goes right through your ears and some sticks. So it's been cool to see the amazing amount and different types of information. And I've found that, watching people play is the coolest thing about this game, because it's a whole new world. I know streaming has existed for a long time, but getting to see the perspective, the first person perspective of a person that you admire or at least think is good, that is unheard of in sports or, professional sports and other things like that. But you get to see exactly what they're seeing, and watching things is such a help for me because I'm a very visual learner, and it's really awesome to see the amount of content I have to help me with that.
I would agree that streamers have definitely changed the way I look at this game. I almost always now, when I'm playing, now that I have a decent internet connection, have someone streaming on the side while I'm playing, and while I'm loading in, I am into a Crucible match or whatnot. I'm just like taking a look over, seeing what they're doing. I can kind of listen to them in the background. I've been watching Fizzer nonstop, and he's constantly like giving little tips, little like tidbits of information. It's like constantly reminding me what I'm trying to do, and I take it immediately into the game I'm playing. There's all sorts of things. Like I spend a lot of time lurking on the playbook. I like to read. I don't always have time to comment, but you can guarantee that every front page link on playbook is purple for me.
I've learned so much from watching some amazing streamers and some great YouTubers just putting together guides to show us and to show me what it looks like when somebody plays this game right. I think the thing that really brought it home for me was watching my own gameplay and being able to compare the two together. And this is something we've talked about. If you've got a PlayStation 4, if you've got an Xbox, it's easy to record your matches and to review them later. And there's nothing quite like saying, okay, I just watched Triple Wreck just run around on Asylum and get everybody. He's watching all the angles. He's getting the shotguns. He's got the perfect thorn. And then to watch myself play Asylum and go, now, I wonder why I did that there. And there's something about it where you're just viewing it from a different headspace. You're not thinking in the moment. You're not trying to stay alive. You're really able to slow down and view the way you play the game that is just different from how you do it when you're in the moment. That is really helped me identify the weak spots in my game and say, okay, if there's anything I'm going to do, I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to stop running around that corner when I know he's waiting there with a shotgun or a rocket. But it wasn't obvious until I watched the match back and saw, I did that 3 times this match. I should probably give that a rest.
Yeah, I think another interesting thing is, there was a time when I didn't respect the meta, or I thought that, I thought camping was a thing or something to look down upon. Then I learned about zone control setups, and I learned about being competitive by using the best tools. And what's funny is once I started to pick up on that, I actually started doing things that other players were doing to kill me. And I realized there's no shame in that, because if you get sniped because a dude was standing on a certain box and he had a great angle on you and you didn't even see him coming, you can get frustrated because getting sniped is the worst. But, sometimes in that very match, and spawns shift and now I'm on that side of the map, I'll stand on that box and I'll see what he's doing and go, wow, okay, I get it, this was a good move. And just imitating the players that beat you will give you a sense of what works. And that's been one of the bigger things for me, is just going like, okay, don't get frustrated, but what did he do? What killed me? What worked against me? And how can I switch mentalities and then replicate that? So just imitating good players in the game, in match to match, what they're doing to get you, helps me a ton.
I would say one of the best things you can do is start recording, because you need to record it first to watch it. But record it for the purpose of, even if you have a bad game, record that game, go back and try to pull the good out of it. I record a ton of my games now, and that's for like purposes of pulling like that good snipe I had out or that triple kill that I had. But it's a great way of just kind of like, all right, let me watch this game. I'm not playing. A lot of times I'll accidentally try and play the game while I'm sitting there. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I've definitely canceled out of videos by trying to revive somebody when I wasn't doing it fast enough in the real game. Yeah, been there.
And on the opposite side of watching is people who absorb information through numbers and hard facts. And I say numbers, I do not understand them. I told you I was a writer. I use an app to calculate tip, because I don't get it.
You just move the decimal point over. It's not that hard.
And double it.
What's it? What do you?
1 over
What are you
double.
saying?
Nah,
Anyways,
he's helpless.
but the beautiful thing about this community is there are people who put together amazing lists and graphs, and that stuff does help me when I can compare them all. So if you go on the playbook and you see a list of the sniper rifle scopes, aim assist, those values do help me. And if you're a numbers person that needs hard facts or solid quantifiable evidence before you make a decision or before you understand it, there's that too. So it's just a beautiful thing about this community. There's something for all types of learning.
I mean, you might even come in and say, I'm glad somebody's thought about the numbers. I don't care. Just tell me what it is that I should be rolling for right now.
Right.
And
What do
there's
they
plenty
mean?
of that as well. I've definitely experienced an issue where I watch back over a game and I see so many problems and so many mistakes that I made, or I wish I'd done that instead, or why did I go back around that corner? And it's easy to kind of get down on yourself taking a critical eye to it. You know, we're talking about ways to learn and ways to improve. I feel like something that's helped me is to try and cut through all of the noise of all the different things I want to work on and really just focus on one or two. Mm-hmm. You know, I mentioned it earlier. I've been playing nothing but Rumble all week. You know, it's impossible to try and fix everything at once and take every little bit of advice all at once. But it's very possible to say, I'm not going to peek twice on a sniper. If I come in last place on a match, I lose everything else. But I had an opportunity to peek twice on a sniper and I didn't peek twice. That's a success. I mean, these little incremental things are really how you make progress. Just grinding out Crucible, you're saying every single match, here's what I'm focusing on. Here's what I want to get better.
Birds, I want you to explain why you've been playing Rumble, because I think it comes across to a lot of players as kind of an intimidating game mode. You know, it's just you out there, there's no help from anyone, and you kind of feel like you're surrounded and, you know, everyone is trying to kill you at one time.
That's pretty much accurate. That's it. It's about right.
So what makes you want to jump in there? What have you seen help your game by playing Rumble?
Well, I will say anytime I feel my heart racing, I feel the fight or flight instinct kick in, and I start to get nervous and I feel just like shook up at the end of a match. That's the kind of thing that I force myself to do over and over to get over it. And when I started this Rumble quest, I definitely was there. And I feel like it's a little bit easier now. You know, it's not the end of the world. I'm able to sort of keep my head around me. You know, talking with Fizz last week, he talked about understanding where people spawn. And I realized I didn't, you know, we all know where the spawns are because you spawn into a map and you immediately recognize where you are. But could you tell me where every single spawn on Shores of Time is? I mean, you probably know the 2 starting spawns. You know the one in the cave, in the A cave, because you start there. But the rest of them, where are they? I mean, Rumble will teach you that, because if you want to win at Rumble, it's not really about your KD. It's a race to get kills. And if you're going to get the kills before other people do, you really need to know where they show up. So I found just in that regard, I really feel like I understand the maps in a way that I didn't 2 weeks ago, because I know where people come in. I know where I need to stand if I want to force somebody to show up over there instead. And a lot of that chaos of everyone running around and trying to get you goes away when you know, okay, there's going to be one guy showing up over here and one showing up over here. I think I can handle that.
And so when you say you're tracking the spawns, you're not memorizing, well, this is one of the locations if I stand right here or whatever. You're sort of responding as the game goes. You know, it's all based on what's happening. Don't you have to do that a little bit on the fly?
What I'm thinking about in the moment is this is my favorite spot of the map. So on Shores of Time, if I'm playing Rumble, I want to be at the A flag because I've got one to my left and one to my right. And as long as I stay there and watch my radar and kind of play smart, I'm going to have 1v1 after 1v1 after 1v1. I'm not waiting around and I'm not getting overwhelmed. Same thing with Firebase Stealthy. If I can start, you know, inside from the C flag and then run to that window in the horseshoe, that looks at the C flag. If I just run back and forth there the entire time, I've got exactly the right number of people to deal with. I never get overwhelmed and I always kind of have an out. And so to learn these things like spawns, but to learn them in a way that is helpful, that's useful. This is where I like to be on the map. This is where I don't want to be on the map. I've noticed right away that carries into all the other game modes to just have worked those angles over and over and over again.
I will say I got my first Rumble win last week.
Congratulations.
Good boy, Swain.
That is a big moment.
Thanks, guys.
I mean, there were 5 other people who were all in it to win it, and you beat out every last one of them. That's huge.
It's kind of intimidating. It's a very intimidating playlist. And I found myself like, I think there was a bounty one of the days. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go and knock this out. Yeah, the best way to do it is just jump in. And I had a surprisingly great time. And I was running around on my hunter. And once you start chaining everything together, you get the kills. It starts moving your super up. You're the first to get your super. You kind of like, it's a great flow.
Mm-hmm.
I like the flow of it. And if you can get it together and you can flow right, you can definitely win your games. I will always remember that match.
Yeah, they do create some memorable Destiny moments. I mean, it's an exhilarating playlist at all times.
Well, when you know that every single person that you encounter is a potential victim, it definitely simplifies things. You don't have to worry about where your team is or where the other team is. You're your own team. Everybody else is on the other team. I will say there's one thing about Rumble that I didn't really expect to run into, but it's made a huge difference, which is that one of the most important skills to develop in Destiny is just your 1v1 engagements. Just there's a guy over there, you're over here, you're both ready, you both know where each other is. Who's going to shoot better? Who's going to play the better mind games or work the better angles? And that's the kind of thing that you can really only practice by doing it. Rumble is without a doubt the fastest way to practice that and to get your chops up. So much of playing in Control or playing in Clash or even playing in Skirmish, you know, you have teammates and you can team shot and you can get assists. You can really play the entire time without really ever having a true 1v1 battle. In Rumble, there's nothing but that.
I think it makes you move faster in other games too, because it feels like you're not getting as many kills. Why wouldn't I just go into Control and try to go for 30 or 40 a game? But in Control, you have downtime. Your team is doing a lot of stuff. In Rumble, you're always on. Your head is always on a swivel. So even if you're not racking them up, you have your brain engaged the entire time, and it breaks those habits of hard scoping doors for 30 seconds straight. You know, standing in the back of a map with your sniper trained on a control point. I mean, that's not a good habit to have. Sure, it might get you a kill once in a while, but you want to always be paying attention to everything that happens, and Rumble forces you to do that.
Go play some Rumble, guys.
Do it.
Get out there. Get your first if you haven't.
Well, speaking of being aware, there is a guy we want to talk to who seems to know everything that's going on in the map at all times and always has his scope trained where it needs to be. So we are going to bring in our guest, and right before that, we're going to do this thing where there's like music and one of us sings, but then we're going to say like, no, stop singing, and cut to a musical break. Right, guys?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Musical break.
Not going to sing this time, huh? Not going to sing this time after I said it. Hey everybody, Bones here. Wanted to say hey to new listeners. Maybe you found us on YouTube for the first time. Make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter. Check us out on a lot of podcast apps. There's plenty of ways to hear us. Make sure you're going to PlanetDestiny.com. They have so many amazing resources, and we love sharing our advice to their viewers. So make sure you're checking that out. You heard the abridged version of my Crucible rap at the beginning of this episode. If you want to hear the full version, you can go to crucibleradio.bandcamp.com and download it for free there. We've got even more exciting things to bring to you in the future. It's been an amazing 2 months so far, but we are just getting started.
Joining us on the show, I am very excited to introduce one of the finest and just fun snipers to watch in this game. Man, I watch your vids and I I wonder how it is that I can do that. So hopefully you're going to explain to me your secret sauce. KJ Hovy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
coming on, dude. This is exciting.
Yeah, we're all pretty excited to get inside your head.
Well, so I'm curious, like you've from the beginning on Destiny, it seems like you've had your skills in place. I mean, Destiny can't be your first PvP shooter. What's your history with competitive shooters?
I have a pretty weird history, actually. I guess about 10 years ago when I was a freshman in high school, I started playing a game called Metroid Prime Hunters, and it was a Nintendo DS shooter. And that's kind of where I started. And from there, I went on to consoles, and I've always been a sniper. In Halo and Gears of War, Shadowrun, pretty much everything, I've been a sniper.
So do you feel like a lot of those skills translate to Destiny pretty easily, or like what differences do you see between Destiny and other popular shooters like Halo, for example, or some of the other much different games like Metroid or something like that?
Well, the way you aim reminds me of Gears because, just like Gears, you aim with the L button, or you scope in with the L button. Mm-hmm. And, that's not like Halo. In Halo, you have to hit the analog stick. You have to click it down. So it reminds me of Gears of War, but at the same time, the reticle placement is like Halo because, and I'm not sure how many people realize this, but in Bungie games, the reticle's not in the center of the screen; it's below it. You kind of have to get used to it, and I don't think a lot of people have that yet.
What's the biggest adjustment with that? Like, how does that impact your snipes? I mean, because it kind of puts you below head level, right? Do you have to pay attention to that often?
You kind of have to get used to it, yeah, because I think a lot of people come from Call of Duty, and it's right in the center. So, if you have to quick scope or something like that, people are used to having it right in the center, whereas this, it's kind of like, it's significantly below. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm sure you could see it if you kind of test it.
Quick scoping is not a thing in Destiny like it is in Call of Duty.
Right.
But watching you play, I mean, it's just, I enjoy so much how little time you spend scoped. Like, it seems like in the time I sort of would have gotten positioned and scoped in and kind of like lining up my shots and swinging it over towards their head, right. You're able to just jump in and immediately get the reticle to where it needs to be, take the shot, and then get out of the scope. I mean, for somebody who's trying to improve that skill set, what advice would you give?
You have to memorize where the reticle is, and since in Destiny it's kind of below, you have to kind of get used to aiming. I'm not really sure how to say it. I guess kind of having your screen up a little, so this reticle will be right on the head when you scope in. So that way you only have to drag left or right to get the headshot instead of up or down or both.
I noticed with the No Land Beyond when I started to use that gun, I was aiming low. Even when I felt like I was aiming at head level, it was always low. And then when I started getting headshots, I felt like I was kind of walking around just looking kind of up at the ceiling all the time. Right. But it does make that difference.
Yeah, I definitely noticed when I was figuring that out, what felt weird to me was not seeing the ground when I was scoped in. It's weird because you just want to know, just for your own sense of where you're at, where's the ground? How high am I looking? Because you don't want to be caught staring up at the ceiling, but you actually do have to kind of, get that out of your field of vision and look up. And it feels awkward at first, but I guess it's just something to get used to.
Mm-hmm.
We have some listeners that probably have only shot at, the bridge captain in Crota. What sort of advice do you have someone that just pick up a sniper rifle? Like, where should someone get started?
Honestly, the best advice is to just play. A lot of people kind of get stuck on trying to get tips, and it helps to watch players that are good as well. But honestly, the best thing to do is just pick it up and do it.
Well, so, I love my LDRs, but when the Taken King comes out, if we're going to want to be competitive in Trials and Iron Banner in places where attack values matter, we're going to have to put the LDRs away and get some new sniper rifles. I mean, who knows what we'll get, but I'm curious. I mean, what are some of the things that you're going to be looking for when you're shopping for a new sniper rifle?
I prefer the mid-tier impacts, so like the LDR and the longbow or the Her Benevolence, simply because it's good at finishing kills that someone has weakened. And it's also has pretty good aim assist, and it can one-shot off a revive or a blade dancer. So that's kind of what I look at. I haven't really looked up the new guns. I don't know if they have any stats out on them, but I'm kind of planning on looking at them and going for the ones that have a similar impact. Just finding a sniper that will one-shot off the revive and, has that fairly high aim assist so you can get drag shots consistently. That's mostly what I'll be looking for.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous about that because I feel like I've been trying to absorb some of the gameplay that people have uploaded from E3, and there's the weapon balances, so I'm looking at auto rifles again, but I just have no idea what's happening with snipers, and it's probably the thing I'm most nervous for going into it. It's just like, just please let me have something I'm comfortable with, but I'm kind of freaking out.
Right, and I'm kind of weird about that because I don't like to spoil myself. I like to wait until it comes out to really experience it. So I don't really look at videos right now. I'm trying to really, have fun with it, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do because the hype can get a little intense, and then you just realize, oh, this is 2 months away, and I'm way too excited right now.
Right.
See, I got to stop hanging out with you guys because if there is a video somehow I managed to miss, you're going to make sure to rub it in my face and talk about it all day. So I noticed that you play, sort of watching your videos, watching your montages. It seems like you play a lot of skirmish and a lot of trials. Do you prefer a 3s playlist to a 6s playlist?
Yeah, honestly, I think I would really like a 4s playlist, but we don't have that yet. But the reason I like the lower ones is because I feel like it kind of practices your individual skill more, and it kind of brings out individual skill more itself. In 6s, it's so chaotic with people blink shotgunning everywhere. It kind of throws me off, and I can't really get focused.
What are the advanced strategies you see in trials, or what makes you feel like, oh, that was sick what I just pulled off? What do you love about those 3s that just gets you kind of jacked up about the game and makes you want to play it for 4 hours at a time? Well,
trials specifically, when you get a kill, like anyone gets a kill, the best thing is you want to push forward. So there's a lot of communication about it. If someone gets a kill somewhere, you say, hey, push forward either from a flank area, or if you're with your teammate, just to push on the body because you don't want to let them get that revive. But, if they do get the revive, the great thing about sniping is you can pick them off from a distance.
So when you're a sniper in trials, like, what are you focusing on aside from just killing people from a distance?
Just watching lanes, watching long strips of land. So if someone is there and you don't get a shot on them, you can at least call them out so your teammates know where they are.
Let's say you've got 3 people going into a trials team and they're all carrying sniper rifles. I mean, if you could sort of be like calling the play, how would you have multiple snipers? How should they work together in that case? I mean, do you want 3 people all looking down the same lane and kind of elbowing into each other, or sort of what's the angle there?
That's one of the frustrating things about Destiny for me is you seem to hit each other's elbows a lot. You get in the way of each other a lot. So what me and one of my teammates do, his name's the Manigator. I play with him a lot. We always go down 2 different lanes. So an example, I guess, would be Pantheon, where top middle area, you have someone look across there, then you have someone go to the waterfall area and you look across there, and you kind of have, for the most part, all the bases covered, because if someone moves around there, you're going to see it.
Let's say we're on Pantheon and your teammate is watching the lower lane and you're watching the upper lane, and he gets a pick and you haven't seen anyone yet. But he gets a pick, but they're pushing in on him. I mean, what's your play right there? I mean, you're holding the sniper rifle, you're kind of far away. What can you do to be effective there?
Well, personally, I like using Mida a lot, the multi-tool. So usually I'll equip that and just sprint towards the area so I can support my teammate.
Speaking of gear, for all of the, Reforge obsessed players, like maybe me, but what gear are you rolling with? I've seen you with the ambush out, seems maybe exclusively. Have you tried anything out? Is it that or nothing else? What have you been working with?
Well, as far as scopes, I always recommend that you stay with the same scope length, just because you get used to that and the drag shot becomes comfortable with that length. So I'll only roll with ambush or short gaze.
Interesting. That's kind of, because those are kind of opposites. Well, in some ways, I mean, they're both short range, but I guess one has really high aim assist. Do you feel that when you're switching, or does it just kind of work for you?
I'm not sure if it's kind of a placebo effect of hearing that, but I do feel like short gaze, I do hit more shots with it.
Right.
Do you ever feel like there's a downside to the aim assist, like you're fighting against it? I notice definitely like it's sticky sometimes, so it can help to sort of stop at the right place.
Right.
But does that ever get in your way?
95% of the time it's a positive effect, but there are those few times where someone gets a revive and they run away and your aim assist goes towards the guy that got the revive instead of the one you want to be shooting, which is the revived person. But for the most part, you'd rather take the positives than, the couple negatives that are there.
So we've been talking a little bit about positioning lately, finding a spot on the map, kind of defending it. Does that play into your choice of using the Mida and a sniper rifle, or are you more mobile?
It definitely depends on the map, because like Thieves' Den, there are a couple maps that I can't use Mida, like Thieves' Den and Cauldron. They're just kind of too close for me. Mm-hmm. So it definitely depends on the map. But I'm a very mobile type guy. I like to move around constantly for the most part. I'm not really a standby sniper, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. I guess it's kind of from Halo, because in Halo I was an objective type player, so you're constantly moving around. So I guess that's where that comes from.
When you're doing the flank, right? Like there's some engagement and you don't like the angle that you have on it. Do you have any advice on what you should be looking for when you're trying to execute a flank to get that success that you want to, make sure that it pays off?
Most of the time I kind of see what my teammate's doing, and if he's kind of engaging in battle, that's when I'll push around the corner and try to hit him. If you don't feel comfortable though, I always recommend repositioning, kind of taking a different angle until you do feel comfortable.
What's the mark of a good position? I mean, and maybe it makes sense, like, let's talk about Blind Watch. Like, Blind Watch has got a lot of cool sniper angles on it. Are there a couple examples that you can give of positions that you'd like, or places on the map that if you are there, you want to get out of there and get to one of those good positions?
As far as Blind Watch goes, I always like staying around B. I do not like sniping from like the A area, just because I feel like there's a lot of places you can kind of dip around, like going towards B, and it's frustrating to shoot people that are kind of head glitching. That's one of the things you want to do. You want to get into cover where it's hard for them to hit anything, and it's also easier to trap people in a place like A spawn, whereas B spawn you kind of have free range and you can kind of move around a lot and have cover.
I mean, tell us about some of your head glitches. I feel like there's a couple I know. I mean, like there's that one on Burning Shrine, and there's a bunch of them on Widow's Court. Maybe I could throw out a couple maps and you sort of tell me where your favorite spot on each one is.
Yeah, we could try that.
How about Cauldron?
Personally, I like to hold down where the capture point is in Trials, just because I'm so used to Trials. That's kind of what I feel like you need to go to. But otherwise, I'm not really sure. I like to snipe. Well, in Cauldron, it's all about the doors. It's all about sniping where the doors are, because that's where you can catch people off guard. But other than that, usually, I guess around the water heavy area, I kind of like to peek around those doors that go into the capture point, just because people aren't expecting the angle that well, and there's kind of stairs around there that you can pop over. Oh, also at the capture point on Cauldron, you can kind of head glitch on that little centerpiece. A lot of people do that, and it's pretty effective.
For sure.
Oh, that sort of coffin
yeah.
in the middle, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That gets me a lot.
So if we're sticking with Trials maps, what are your thoughts on Widow's Court?
Widow's Court's kind of funny because people have a lot of different strategies there. Some people go to the chapel. Some people go to the stairs area.
Over by like Heavy and
over by the Heavy,
side.
that area. Yep, and then some people just like to stay up near that special ammo where the sniping perch is. It's kind of a much bigger map than you realize, because I think people kind of do the same strategy over and over.
Do you really like that map because it's like plays well into sniping, or?
Kinda. I'm the type of sniper that likes to be really mobile, and that map it's kind of standoff sniping.
Yep.
So I wouldn't say I love it necessarily, but I do like it more than something like Thieves' Den.
So what about my favorite Trials map, Black Shield, because that one's a little symmetrical.
I love Black Shield. I kind of switch it up, I guess. Starting off, I usually go straight into the door and try to pick people off if they jump up. And sometimes I'll go straight through the door and with Mida and trying to be quick and snipe at their door. And, if that's not working out, we'll kind of resituate. We'll go outside. And that's what I like about the map. It feels like you can really switch up your tactics and be effective with it.
I've actually not played Trials on that map with the Mida. I only recently started picking up the gun, but you mentioning that right there, I mean, that sounds great, just sprinting in and getting on top, because it's crazy how people rush there. They want to get to you first, but they don't have their weapons up and ready. So if you can beat them, then man, they just run right into you.
Right, and a lot of people don't realize like that's the great thing about Mida is you beat them to the sniping point. So like you were saying on Black Shield, the outside heavy, if you have Mida, you can beat them to that point and snipe across at them, and they won't be expecting you that fast.
Well, so let me ask about that inside room on Black Shield, because it's kind of a tricky one. Like, you can get up on top of that center platform and you can snipe down through their door. But if you're trying to hit sort of the longer sniping angles, you don't really have a lot of cover coming from up top. If you're sniping through the door, you know, at least from one of them, you've got quite a bit more cover, but you've got sort of narrower angles. Do you think one of those, sort of the higher ground or the lower ground, is advantageous there?
I mean, I guess it kind of depends where the people are, but if the enemy is at the door and I am up top, I feel a lot more comfortable just because I like sniping down at people. But I still feel comfortable sniping at the same level. So if I was, you know, below that place where you can jump up and sniping out the door, I still feel pretty comfortable. I guess Black Shield's kind of the place where you need to feel confident as a sniper. It's important because you do have those narrow angles and you kind of have to drag really quick.
So to switch it up a little bit, but still talk about Trials for a second. A few weeks ago, we were discussing the change in Trials and how everyone said Sunsinger was the best, but then Voidwalkers started showing up. What have you noticed since May when Trials came out compared to, you know, the most recent weekend? Have you noticed any changes or developing strategies, anything you like or anything that's been interesting to you?
I have noticed, actually, I've noticed more Sunsingers. I've noticed like teams of 3 Sunsingers, which...
So annoying.
Yeah, which can be pretty frustrating because even though it's easy to shut down a Fireborn if you spot them, it can be frustrating if there are 2 of them do it at once. And yeah, it can be pretty frustrating, but I've actually noticed more Sunsingers, yeah.
What are you running primarily? Which class do you like to play on the most?
Yeah, ironically, like I was talking about how it can be annoying to play Sunsingers, I love running Sunsinger. It's
being annoying is a very effective tactic.
Yeah, it is, because those Firebolt nades in Trials are just so frustrating to handle. It's kind of funny because in every other playlist, Hunters dominate, but you know, Trials kind of feels like it evens it out because Strikers are great, Sunsingers are great, and the Hunters are great. So it's kind of an even playing field. The only class I just can't seem to make a good point for is the Defender.
Well, I'm still trying to figure that one out myself. I'll let you know once I crack the code on that. Well, so, you know, one thing that I've always had trouble with on Sunsinger, you know, I started off as a Hunter and still play mostly Blade Dancer, but I've had a lot of luck as a Voidwalker because Blink kind of makes sense to me. I guess I've always had a little bit of trouble with the Sunsinger's jump. I mean, it's not as fast as a Titan. You don't get that sort of confusing mobility with Blink or just like the endless height and sort of responsiveness of triple jump. I mean, how are you incorporating jumping into your gameplay as a Sunsinger?
I forget what the jump's called. I think it might be Focus Burst. But if you kind of time the jumps right when you're landing and you kind of get a boost like you would with Titan, not as much, but there's a little bit there to where it makes up for it. But also the Mida. Like I said, I love using Mida, so you always feel kind of fast.
Yeah, it really feels like the Mida impacts your play in ways that, you know, you don't notice when you're shooting that gun specifically, but they impact your movement so much that it makes your sniping better because you're in position. It makes your class a little easier to use because of that movement. It's been sounding like a pretty solid choice lately.
Oh yeah, and with the update, it's probably going to be even better, I'd assume.
Oh, absolutely. So you recently got partnered on Twitch, is that right?
Correct.
That's awesome. So what is
Thank you.
Yeah, what's Twitch life been? How does what's that like? How's interacting with people? What have you been enjoying about that?
It's amazing, and it's also very terrifying because I'm a pretty self-conscious guy. I'm the type of guy that always hears his voice and hates it. You know, it just sounds terrible.
Yeah, try editing together a podcast.
Listen to yourself 6 hours.
Oh my god, yeah, it's the worst.
That does not sound fun to me, but I guess it's still a lot of fun though, just because you have people there supporting you, and you know, I guess for me, I always watched Halo players, and I was always like, hey, I would love to do that in the future, but I just can't see myself ever getting to that point. And now that I have, it's I don't know, it's just kind of like a blessing, you know?
Yeah.
Do you feel obligated to stream? Like, do you play Destiny for fun just in private, or play other games sort of in private? Or, do you feel like a burden to sort of say, oh, I should get the stream going, people are going to watch this, and get more time? Do you have sort of a division between public gaming and private gaming now?
Yeah, sadly, I kind of do feel that way. I feel like I can't play certain games. It's like I couldn't upload it to YouTube or play it on Twitch because I just don't know if people would care for it. So I do kind of feel like I get burnt out on Destiny sometimes because I'm kind of scared of trying something else.
Yeah, I know with Destiny, like when I found Destiny, I pretty much stopped being a gamer and just started being a guy who only plays Destiny. Mm-hmm. But it's been a long time since the last update, and we definitely have gone through phases where we'll play Rocket League or, play something else to mix it up. But yeah, it's got to be something when you've got an audience expecting like, hey, this guy's great at Destiny. Where is he? Where's my Destiny? I want to see it.
Yeah, definitely. Because people will say, when's the next video coming out? And I'm just kind of like, I'm working on it. I just wanted to have fun and play some Rocket League for a little bit. Because Rocket League is so stress-free. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's great after a night of like sweaties. We do it a lot. Do you have any interest in when Destiny does become competitive? Do you have any interest in like going that route? The way like Halo went competitive, you kind of like, and like, what do you think you'll see out of it?
I'm definitely interested. I've always kind of had that background. I've been watching Halo, on the MLG circuit, at least when it was on the MLG circuit since, Halo 2. So I do love that. But in order for Destiny to get there, I think there has to be quite a few changes.
Like what?
Well, I don't think Destiny will... Personally, I don't think it'll get to that level until Destiny 2 comes out, because you need custom matches to really get to that level. You need to be able to, like, say, this map's banned, or, this weapon perk is banned. You need stuff like that to really achieve the big skill gaps. Like, Halo, Halo 3, they banned ARs. You couldn't use a lot of stuff because they just felt like that was what would make the game achieve a higher competitive level. So, I think they need those custom matches.
We may not see competitive Destiny come with the Taken King, but we are going to see a lot of other cool stuff. I mean, you mentioned that you're trying to hold off sort of spoiling the surprise, but sort of from what's on your radar, what you expect to happen in the game, what are you looking forward to in the Taken King and upcoming expansions?
Oh, just all the new weapons and the classes. We haven't had much to experiment with. They introduced new weapons in the past DLC, but they weren't really that different. And it seems like the Taken King did do that. It seems like the snipers are pretty different. A lot of different weapons just look a lot different.
So out of the new subclasses, what do you see yourself playing?
I really haven't looked too deep into it. I just know there's supers, but the Warlock and Hunter both look really cool. I think it looks cool to be like a Sith Lord.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah, and the bow and arrow just looks pretty badass, I guess. So I would definitely be down for that.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, it's a little out of order, but do you have any rituals, either when you're warming up to stream or during the process of your stream or just playing Destiny? Do you have any habits for, getting ready to take it serious? Do you warm up a little bit? Do you do any drills, anything like that?
I really don't. I've been asked that a few times. I really just kind of jump into it.
And that's the most fun way, right? Is to just start playing.
Yeah, I don't want to get nervous or anything. And I think doing like a ritual would actually make me nervous. So just jump into it.
I was watching a couple of your videos, and I heard you say this term a couple times, and I was hoping you could maybe explain it a little bit. You talk a lot about baiting revives, sort of like you're paying attention to the orbs. Obviously, we're talking about skirmish, we're talking about trials, or talking about elimination. Could you maybe explain sort of the strategy or what the concept is with baiting a revive and how you use that to your advantage?
Well, baiting just means you're waiting for a person to come along. When you're playing a shooter, the most important thing is knowing where your enemy is. So if you bait the revive, if you see, like, sometimes the revive might be out of sight a little. So if you see it start to turn white, you'll know there's a player there. So you can kind of push on them, like, with a flank. And, as a sniper, I'm pretty confident I'm going to pick off the revive. And if my teammate can get in another position to take off the guy that's performing the revive, you've kind of won the round pretty much.
So are you thinking about sort of like what they're going to be seeing on their radar and trying to get them to act in a certain way?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. It's as a player, it's kind of something I've just grown to do. I don't really think about it too much.
Sure.
But yeah, I guess you would say that.
We mentioned it earlier, but the kind of advanced strategy of either pushing a player or running in front of the revive that you're performing, that can really throw you off, especially if you're using your Her Benevolence with Hidden Hand and Short Gaze. Do you prepare for that? Do you have a counter for that, or do you just kind of I don't know, hope it doesn't happen?
Well, if I'm playing against a good team and I've seen them do it, I will prepare for it differently. If they try to push them, usually I just prepare for a drag shot, and I can usually get it pretty consistently. But also, if they're doing it pretty well, I'll probably pop my super or throw a grenade to help. So, if I'm a Sunsinger, if I see him going for a revive, I might throw my Firebolt, and then all I have to do is get a body shot to finish it off.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like I know they're going to do it, but I just stay hard scoped because, I don't know, I guess I just want the chance at the revive kill. But you're saying maybe time to pull out your primary and throw some grenades and stuff like that.
Possibly, yeah. A lot of people ask me what makes a sniper, good from great. And I always say the ability to know when to go for a body shot and when to go for a headshot. So, people always say like, oh, my headshot percentage is 80+%. I must be, amazing. But I personally don't think that matters, because if my teammate puts a shot into a revived guy, I'm just going to go for a body shot, because if I can finish it off like that, why not? You have a higher success rate.
Mm-hmm. I've definitely been noticing sort of some more mobile snipers taking the approach where, they're going to go for the quickest shot they can, which is going to be a body shot. And then they're just going to switch to their primary. And depending on the sniper and depending on the primary, a lot of the times that's just 1 or 2 hits to sort of clean it up. And I know I definitely sort of get caught in the trap of like aiming and trying to get the headshot. It just seems like sort of a muscle memory and a practice thing to get into that, take the shots you can get. If it's going to get you the kill, maybe it's a bit messier, but you go for it.
Yeah, like often when I'm playing, like everyone runs in this game, blink shotgun, I'll often just go for a body shot and then switch to Mida because it's so quick, and when you're a blade dancer with quick draw, you can even pull out last word in like the blink of an eye. So it's often the best choice.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear from a good sniper, because sometimes you feel like you're missing shots when you are hitting those body shots. And I don't know, when it comes down to winning, you want them dead as quickly as possible. So it's good to know that body shots and kills are kills, and people don't need to worry so much about their quick scope accuracies. But that's pretty awesome. But we haven't asked this in a few weeks, but we want to know your favorite map in the game, because it's always just fun to talk about. What's the one map you want to see when you're dropping in?
That's a good question. This game's maps, and I know that sounds bad, but they're not as memorable to me as something like Halo. But if I had to say a map I like seeing, probably Firebase Delphi, which is kind of weird, but I just like it. I'm not sure why.
Well, so that seems like an interesting one for a sniper. I mean, what are your favorite angles on that one?
I like watching the hallways up near the B area. I like that area. I like looking out those doors, because people don't, I guess they do expect it nowadays, but oftentimes people aren't going to expect you to snipe through those little angles because they're so short. And that's kind of what I like to do.
Well, and you've got the higher ground on them too, well, at least some of the time.
Right.
I love that map where there's the little, I don't know what you call it, the hut over C, and it's not the best map position. A lot of the times it means your team is spawning and jumping through the window as many times as possible. But when you do get them to peer out the window, there's some really great angles, because you can back up on that hut and get that nice head glitch going and let them stand in front of the window and stuff. It's actually a surprisingly good place to get kills.
Right, and the only problem with that is if you're playing against smart players, they will go around to that other little arch shape that's in the middle. It's kind of on the outside. Yeah. I don't know how to explain it that well, but on the inside it ramps downwards, and on top of it, it's kind of that curvature. Like if you're looking into the window, it would be to the left of it.
The thing that drives me crazy about Firebase is the Cabal ship that flies over.
Oh, yeah.
It'll come up as red on your radar, and I freak out, and I turn to my left thinking there's someone outside, and I'm just like, oh, it's just that thing. That drives me crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they decided to put a red blimp for that. That's kind of ridiculous.
It's immersive, I guess. It makes us feel like we're in the battlefield, right?
It's true. It is all about having fun in the end, so.
Yeah.
Well, so let me ask you a question, right? Like, you're definitely known as a sniper, but do you ever sometimes, switch over to Blade Dancer, get that quick draw going, get your shotgun going, get Blink going, and, try the other side?
Do you own a shotgun?
I actually do own a Phil Winters sniper, but...
All right. Well, I mean, that's fitting, I guess.
Yeah, right. Sometimes I do. If I've ever been on stream, you can ask the few people that watch. I get really excited when I get a shotgun kill because it never happens. And people are just like, that was an easy kill. Why are you getting so excited?
Me too, dude.
Kind of funny seeing their reactions.
I'm getting the sense there's no real answer that you can give me, but I've got a chance to talk to KJ Hovy about sniping. Give me a little piece of wisdom. I want to be able to do drag shots like that. What can you tell me that's going to help me get my drag shot game in check?
It's funny. A lot of people ask me that. They ask me if I can make like a YouTube tutorial, and I'm sitting there like, I've been playing.
There's some secret, and you're not telling us. Why aren't you telling us the secret?
And my secret is I've been playing for a decade, so it just feels second nature, But I guess the best thing I can say is just to know where the head is, like the head level, before you scope in, because when it comes to drag shots, you always want to drag left or right. You don't want to scope in at their waist and drag up, because if you do, the stickiness will make the drag a lot slower. So that's, I don't know, maybe that's something people don't think about much.
That makes sense.
And it's also a lot easier to drag in one direction rather than, diagonally.
So are you trying to get sort of that head level? You're getting that set up before you scope in. That's just sort of when you're sort of in the hip fire position. Are you using sort of the tip of your gun as a reference there?
You could, but honestly, I'm just so used to Halo that I know where that reticle is because it's kind of ingrained in your head. Because in Halo, it's always there, so it's kind of just I know it's there.
Listeners, I tried to get the secret sauce. I don't know why he's refusing to tell us what the secret is.
The answer is 10 years from now, we'll all be KJ Hovy.
Right.
Well, no, because KJ's going to progress 10 years above us.
It's going to be 10 years in front of us.
20 years.
To catch up.
It's possible.
Very frustrating.
It's funny because a lot of people ask me, do you buy one of those red dots that you put on the screen? So
that's the secret. That's
no. I'm one of those guys that only likes default. Like, I don't use control freaks. I don't even use a scuff, and I don't think those things are bad. I just don't want to use them, I guess.
Yeah, I use the control freaks, and I tried to take them off, and they're so uncomfortable, the regular sticks, that I couldn't.
Yeah, which I understand. Yeah, I understand. Scuffs can be a lot more comfortable for some people, but for me, I'm so used to clawing, so I just that's what feels best to me.
Well, so are you clawing 100% of the time?
No. I guess the number one time would be when I'm going for a revive. I'll use the index finger on the square, but there are times where I'll just do it naturally and I don't even think about it. And I'll do it in other games too. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever played Bloodborne, but when I'm running in Bloodborne,
I've tried.
When I'm running in Bloodborne, I'll use my index finger to control my camera. It's just kind of do it.
That's a reach. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, so does that mean that you're firing with your ring finger?
When you're reviving?
Well, no, I mean, I guess just in general, like if you're able to sort of fluidly switch into the claw, I mean, does that mean sort of by default you're using your ring finger on those triggers?
I actually use my middle finger. I use my index to hit square, and then I use my middle finger for the trigger.
Are you always taking your shots with your middle finger?
Nope. Usually I do with my index. I use everything for index finger because personally, I've never thought it mattered to use like your index and your middle finger at the same time because the buttons are so close to each other. I never bothered using both.
I'm doing that thing that Birds did on an old episode where he holds his fingers up and makes claw motions in the air. And if anyone saw me right now, they'd think I look pretty silly.
All right, so KJ Hovy, thank you for coming on the show. People are going to want to check this out. If you've never seen this guy play, you got to go see it. What's the best way that people can find you on the internet if they want to see more?
I would say Twitter. I never used to use Twitter, but recently it's just been what everyone uses. So
That's where it's at.
yeah, Twitter.
For Destiny.
Yeah, it is.
So that's at KJ Hovy?
Correct.
Twitch, YouTube, any of those?
Yeah, Twitch is at KJ Hovy, and YouTube's also at KJ Hovy.
You just got in early on the KJ Hovies. You've just got that locked down.
Yeah,
on every site.
my mom made me that name back when I was 10 years old when Yahoo email was first getting big. And our family nickname was Hovy, and I just used my first two initials.
That's fantastic.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Yeah. My mom actually picked out famous birds for me. She would lay my clothes out on the bed for me, and
You're
she
gonna
had a
be
little name tag that said
famous.
famous birds.
I inherited dry bones from my grandfather. He used it in World War II on his uniform. And he said, kid, when Xbox Live gets big, you take this and you honor my legacy. So it's kind of a family thing for me.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he's full of it. Don't buy that for a second. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Guys, I've almost hacked in. I'm in the database, the source of all Crucible secrets, the absolute secret to getting good. I'm almost there.
Wait a minute. They've thrown up a firewall. We've got to bypass the firewall.
Bypass it.
Do you guys have the keys?
Get to the mainframe as fast as you can. Oh no, they're downloading a worm into my system. Wait, hold on. It's blocking us out.
Countermeasures.
Those sirens?
Access code denied.
Abort!
Get out!
Abort!
Go!
They found our position. Abandon the studio.
As always, you guys can find us on the Crucible Playbook, Twitter, Crucible Radio, Facebook, Crucible Radio,
Wait, we gotta go.
PlanetDestiny.com, Crucible Radio. Bye, guys!